Welcome back to Cosmosis or Whatever. This is a podcast all about the universe and everything in it and how it's all connected. Here on this podcast, we talk about all things spiritual, life growth, healing, all of that good stuff. I am Celia Marie 1243. I'm a psychic medium, a tarot reader, an energy healer, and a spiritual mentor. And I have been at that for a couple of years now, which is really crazy to think about. Maybe I've said that before, but it still literally blows my mind that I've been doing this for this long. It feels like I just started yesterday. And I'm starting to get repeat clients that are like, yeah, I had my first reading with you years ago. And I'm like, years as in multiple? That's interesting. But yeah, I've literally done so many readings at this point. I've done thousands, and for people all over the world and so many different topics at this point, right? People have asked me if their partner is cheating on them. People will ask me, will they get a job that they're applying for? What are my spirit guides trying to tell me? What is my past loved one trying to communicate with me? Who was I in my past lives? So there's so many questions, and I'm gonna tell y'all something, okay? If y'all ain't know, y'all better ask somebody, okay? I don't miss. Okay, I can say that with confidence and a clear conscience. All right. Listen, I answer to spirit in everything that I do. Okay, having the titles that I have, doing what I do, it may seem like I don't have a boss, I'm my own boss. Really, the universe is my boss at this point. My spirit guides are my boss. Your spirit guides are my boss in a lot of ways. So just that's a no. And I don't think I would be able to say I don't miss without them frying me, to be honest. So I can say that with a clear conscience. But today I wanted to talk about what I will not answer in a reading or in a session and why. So, I have my boundaries, okay? I'm constantly talking to y'all about boundaries, right? And boundaries are a must. So I've come across a lot of topics, many a topic or question, like I said, but one boundary for me first is legal matters. And another is fertility. So if you know, right? A lot of my TikTok people, hey, TikTok fam, I read energy. And so energy is a constant, it's not constant. It's constantly in a state of movement. It's always changing. And so ironically, right, for legal reasons, I usually won't take on legal matters unless spirit is very adamant about it. So there are gray areas in some of these things I'm going to talk about, as there can be with anything, right? But we'll get a little bit more into that, as far as gray areas and things like that later. I also don't do fertility. Just as a general rule of thumb, again, I have done fertility readings. I haven't done a full-on fertility read for somebody. But if there's a little something that comes up maybe from a spirit guide or spirit baby or something like that, or if spirit just tells me that it's something that's really important that this person needs to know, I will do that. But if somebody just comes onto my live on TikTok and they're like, hey, can you tell me if I'm going to get pregnant at this time or whatever, it's usually going to be a no. For legal reasons, for me, and also just because I feel like pregnancy and fertility is a really touchy subject, right? And granted, a lot of the subjects that I do are touchy subjects. And I'm no stranger to a touchy subject, but I just think for me personally, trigger warning coming up. As someone who has dealt with miscarriages, I know how sensitive those times can be, how stressful it can be when you're trying to figure out if you are pregnant. And then when you get pregnant, if you're going to be able to carry that pregnancy to term. I have been there where I am just frantically wanting to know whether I'm pregnant and what's going on, and like trying to confirm those messages. And honestly, it's just a really difficult thing to help somebody go through. And so I do know that there are specific readers, can't name any off the top of my head, but there are specific readers who you can go to who will do specific spirit baby. Funny that I say spirit baby, but they'll do pregnancy, fertility type readings. And I will say some of the pregnancy, fertility type readings that I've gotten from people have not been accurate. And the thing is, I can't even fault them for that, because like we said, energy is constantly flowing. It's constantly changing. I could give you a reading today, and it could be completely true, but tomorrow, because you changed your mind and something else has directed your free will in another direction, some of those things that I was saying may not come true, right? I feel like my personal beliefs, right, are that, you know, there are certain things that we absolutely must come across in our lives, in order to, you know, they're almost like checkpoints. I see it almost kind of like a video game, where I feel like we have checkpoints that we have to come to in our life. How we get there, how long it takes, what route we take, you know, how many, you know, XP we pick up on the way to that is kind of up to us more. That's the way that I like to see it. It's going to be different for everybody. So all of those things are variable. So when, you know, you're talking about somebody who wants to conceive a child, or maybe doesn't want to conceive a child, like those can be very, very sensitive things. And I just don't think I'm always prepared to handle that. And I think, you know, for good reason. Like I said, I've struggled with it myself, and yeah, just not something I'm ready to take on, which is interesting though, because when I was kind of thinking about this topic, I have noticed, if you guys have been, you know, catching my lives on TikTok, I've been talking a lot about my spirit baby. It was funny. I just saw the spirit baby number pop up. She's around. Hey, girl. My own spirit baby has been kind of around me lately, and I've noticed that as I've progressed as a reader, and I guess just lately, within the past maybe 6 months, a lot of spirit babies have been popping up. So if you don't know what a spirit baby is, that is the spirit of a baby. Exactly what it sounds like. It may or may not be a baby that is to be born to you. It could be the spirit of a child that will not be born to you, that maybe you may have miscarried. Or I know for me, my spirit baby specifically is a baby that I've miscarried twice. She's still around. I still think she wants to come around. We'll see how she gets here, but I digress, right? So I do feel like maybe eventually I will do more like pregnancy, fertility things. I don't think that's ever going to be my focus. But like I said, I work for spirit. So if spirit tells me like, okay, you need to be doing spirit baby readings, and keep in mind, this is just like in quotations, right? ADHD quotations. When I say spirit, I mean my spirit guides, I mean my ancestors, I mean the angels, the deities that I work with, but I also mean my higher self, my own intuition. So when I say, oh, I work for spirit, I don't want you guys to think that there is some, I don't know. Y'all know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm not trying to say like, oh, well, my life is like not my own, you know, like I have my free will. This is all part of my intuition. I feel like that has been a huge part of my spiritual journey, is to blend everything into what I know or refer to as spirit. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, so energy is fluid. There may not be a solid answer. And And I don't really give, it's not that I don't give solid answers. It's just, again, energy is always fluid. And I think it's not always ethical in my eyes to give people answers about some of the things. And I feel like, energy can change based on the situations. We'll talk more about that. But yeah, sometimes people aren't ready to hear what the actual answers may be. And I think working as a psychic medium has really kind of helped me be able to deal with that. So I don't know, who knows? Maybe this is a message that Spirit is telling me I'll do that kind of stuff in the future. But for now, it's a no for me. Which is funny because I also just thought of something else where I literally gave somebody a reading and they, remind me to tell y'all about the womb opening that I did, because that is a crazy thing that happened. Like, as I started into my energy healing journey, that has been wild. Maybe Spirit's trying to tell me something. I had this idea for this episode and y'all know me, I'm just over here la-di-da, getting a whole download from Spirit. And I literally hear one of my spirit guides ask me well, why don't you do fertility? So that might be something I'm going to meditate on. Okay. So going to meditate on it because I have read for people who I've done some crazy stuff with energy, and I have been telling people in a mediumistic way, what's going on with babies, spirit babies, stuff like that. So that's, I'm gonna reflect on that one actually, because I wasn't expecting that when I was talking about this, but we know everything happens for a reason. That's why this is called cosmosis or whatever. It's just a matter if you're paying attention. Anyway, that's not where I was trying to go with this, but maybe that'll be a thing. So moving on, thank you, Spirit. Another question that I get often is, am I on the right path? Right? So some of you guys might have asked me that question. Now that's actually a trick question, I like to say, and I will tell you why that is a trick question right after this. Y'all, I literally just saw 12:21 on the timer when I cut that clip. So some of y'all may be seeing 12:21, and if you have been, y'all know the drill. This is probably a message for you, so pay extra attention if you've been seeing 12:21, because this could be an answer to your questions. This could be what Spirit is trying to get through to you. Yeah. So the reason why am I on the right path is a trick question in a way, right? It's because there is no such thing as the right path, right? Or I guess rather, there's no such thing as the wrong path. I guess there's a difference there. But yeah, no such thing as the wrong path. Whatever choices you make, you are making for a reason, whether you are conscious of it or not, right? Therefore, there are no wrong paths. And it's interesting because I am reading up and studying a little bit more on karma and how karma actually works. And let me just tell y'all, so many people have karma all mixed up. They don't really know what it is. I think, karma has become a very westernized term, and we use it very frivolously. I would say silly gooses, us little Westerners. We use it very loosely and don't even really understand what it means. And so I have been reading, I went to go get the book and then I forgot. You ever go to somewhere and you do it with a purpose and you're yeah, I need to do this. And then you end up kind of doing something else. And then you forget what it was that you were originally going to do. Yeah, that's what I just did. So when I cut that clip, I was waiting for it. I went to get the book so that I could give you guys the title. And then I drank some water and I ended up in my room and I was why am I in here? And then I came back and sat down and started recording. And here we are. So basically what I'm trying to ask you is, do you have ADHD? And I know I talk about ADHD in every single episode, but I feel like it's because it's a thing. And I feel like actually a lot of intuitive people, and probably a lot of y'all, have ADHD or maybe some type of neurodivergency. And we're just normalizing it. You know, it's a thing. I feel like it's something that I've like struggled with for a long time, between like dyslexia, ADHD, and here we go getting off topic, but it's always for a reason, right? It's cosmosis or whatever. Okay, you guys like how I did that? Anyway, so getting back to the fact that there's no wrong paths, the book that I forgot to get, it is by Sadhguru. It is on my Amazon recommendations. It's in my Amazon store. So if you guys want to check it out, I highly recommend it. If you guys are trying to understand karma, if you are trying to break karmic cycles, understand your past lives, that is a very good book. It will put a lot of things into perspective for you. It has for me. So, basically there are infinite paths to explore. And I explain that to everybody who asks me, right? Am I on the right path? There are infinite paths that you can explore, and each one will be different based on your choices. And so whatever choices you make, that's all based on where you are and what you know in that moment. And so, you know, it's going to give you a result, and that is karma, actually. That is karma. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I think a lot of people give it a bad connotation. It's literally just like action and the consequences of those actions. Like, that's literally it. And the universe doesn't see it as like good or bad. It just, this thing happened, so then this thing happened. Like, it just kind of balances out, right? And so maybe we'll talk more about karma in another episode. But so I've learned to kind of reframe those questions into, what is your highest path? Okay, and we talked about highest path before in the timeline jumping episodes, so you might want to check those out, especially if you've been seeing 1221. But yeah, highest path. And so keep in mind too, I'm not saying the easiest path. Okay, I'm saying the highest path. And what I mean by highest path is just the one that will clear the most karma. And if you listen to those timeline jumping episodes, you will know the paths that clear the most karma are often the roughest. But at the end of the day, how I do my readings, they're really just structured to give you the tools and the guidance, the info that you will need to help you achieve your goals. So one thing about me, baby, is I'm going to reframe a question, right? If you asking me a question, I'm going to be like, okay, well, let's think about that, right? Like, let's think about how we ask that, or like, let's think about what that actually means, or what it is that you're actually trying to discover by asking that question. Like, I'm gonna reframe a question. So, I'm here to help guide you. And I feel like by reframing those questions, that's exactly what I'm doing. I also don't do like lottery questions. Like, oh, am I going to win the lottery? What number should I play or whatever? I have had a couple people ask me those things, and I literally just like laughed at them. And I think I cussed one of them out, actually, because it was somebody that I knew. And it's just like, they're like, oh, well, why would you waste your gift on, not doing that? And I would honestly think, why would you waste your gift on doing something like that? Like, I don't know. That's just my personal opinion, right? Also, some other questions that I don't answer, or I will help people reframe, is like, will I do this tomorrow? Will I do this next week? When will I do this? I try to stay away, for the most part, from timed answers, just because, again, energy is fluid, right? If you want a math problem, you should have went to somebody who knows math, because it ain't me. I'm a fairy, okay? I don't know. I mean, I know math, but okay, I don't know when. And sometimes if I do give a time period, it could still be flexible. So know those things. So I feel like those are some things that you should know about getting readings, especially from me. Those are things that I will not answer. Apparently something that I could possibly answer in the future, or might go about looking into reading more. I have to meditate on that one. But hopefully that gave you a little bit of perspective on how I do my readings, why I do what I do. And I think that might give some of you guys some answers that you were looking for. So I hope that was helpful. And I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye, friends.